Okay guys, so we're here, Madera Canyon, deep in the woods of the Josephine Trail, where I believe there's an unknown 411 cluster here. Madera Canyon, Josephine Trail in Arizona. Over 60, excuse me, over the last 63 years, 5 people have gone missing on this trail, 4 bodies have been recovered. The first 3 that I'd like to discuss happened in 1958. It's a well-known story of 3 Boy Scouts that got trapped in an unforeseeable blizzard that dumped 6 inches here in the canyon. Now, when you just normally think about that, okay, they froze to death, possibly, or, something happened, right? But let's look into it a little bit. 700 volunteers went looking for them. Now, here in the canyon, the slightest conversation from across the way, the echo vibrations and the echo frequencies in these canyons are very strong, and they reverberate quite well. Meaning, in layman's terms, you can hear someone talking from across the canyon. So how do 700 voices screaming for these boys not get heard? First question. Second, all 3 are Boy Scouts. All 3 should have been prepared. So if you know anything about the Boy Scouts, you know Boy Scouts are always prepared. Now you're probably saying to yourself, well, what if they weren't prepared for this day hike, then they suddenly got caught in a storm, which is what happened. But did you know that Mike Early, the 16-year-old, was a highly respected and a very experienced scout, outdoorsman, and camper? He was one of the many leaders among the 70 or so younger scouts in the group. 70 or so other scouts in the company. Not to mention, he even received survival training at the local air base as a Civil Air Patrol cadet. So not only were 700 people going, so not only were they supposed to be experienced, but even if they got caught off guard, 700 people went looking for him in these woods. 700 people yelling their names in a canyon where you can hear the slightest noise from across the canyon. Number 1. Number 2, the 16-year-old had survival training. Not just any survival training, military survival training. Okay? Ask yourself that. How does a 16-year-old with military survival training and the other 2 experienced scouts not realize that they are trapped in a storm, and the higher you go, the colder it's going to get, so you would assume, go down? Not to mention, this area in Madera Canyon, it's a lone mountain range. That means wherever you look at the highest point, you're going to see a town or a direction to go. If nothing else, you know the way down. There's tons of these little canyons I'm in that lead all the way down and connect down to the bottom. They all interconnect and they all lead down off the mountains. Not to mention, they would know that they need to go down, not up. So let's find out what this story is. Back in 1958, a well-known tragedy occurred here. 6 scouts started on their journey to Mount Baldy, or Mount Royston, to the top. 3 turned back halfway. The other 3, Mike Early, 16, Michael Lenove, 13, and David Greenberg, 12, continued on. Now, unfortunately, the unsophisticated weather forecasting methods of the time didn't realize that a massive freak storm was barreling down on the mountain. This storm this storm dumped 6 inches on the mountain, stranding the 3 scouts in an unknown location on the mountain. Now, 700 volunteers searched for them for a week before eventually the search was called off, when their bodies were found on December 4th after going missing November 15th. Now, ask yourself, okay, so these scouts, back in 1958, they just got lost. They got dumped, 6 inches got dumped on them, and they probably got lost and froze to death, right? And they probably got, hypothermia and unfortunately died from it. But let's dig a little further. Their bodies were found east of where else? Josephine Trail. But let's be honest, if you hear something or see something in woods, no one's going to say anything. You don't want to be labeled a crazy person. Nobody wants to be labeled crazy, shunned from our primitive herd mentality, grasping at the straws of approval we as humans so lust after. Wouldn't you agree? We're very primitive in that aspect. Our want of attention, the need for it. And now look at social media. Think about that with all the young teenagers. Every like, every love comment, what is it doing to them? Just think about that question. Let's move on to the next case. So that's 3 bodies so far. Joe Smallwood went missing. Joe Smallwood is the next case. Missing February 2019. He was 83 years old. His remains were found July. So he was 83 years old. He went missing February of 2019, and his remains weren't found until July. He got lost February 5th, and he was even able to call 911 from a cell phone. His last known ping location from his cell phone was where else but Josephine Trail. A sheriff's spokesman said he lost his sense of direction, which is plausible. He's an 83-year-old man, but his family claims he was a very experienced hiker. I can remember hiking Yosemite one time, and I was with a group, and it was getting dusk. However, I basically grew up in Yosemite, I would say. Like every summer, 2-3 times a year, something like that. This happened on the Mist Trail. Now, at the top of the Mist Trail, if you go up just a little bit on the trail, and then you'll see another trail that goes off to the right. If you take that trail, you'll go up a little bit and then zigzag all the way back down to the bottom of the Mist Trail. So I knew the area. Experienced hikers, even if you're an experienced hiker, you know your surroundings. You know that, hey, there's going to be another trail over here. Hey, that seems out of place. I don't remember that rock or that log being there. If you're somewhere you're very comfortable with, you notice things that move and change. Now, due to the winter conditions and the steep terrain, the search was suspended February 11th, 1 week after he went missing. Now get this. Search efforts included helicopters, canine rescuers, rescuers on horseback, and experienced hikers searching all the ravines, like one I'm so in. Now his fanny pack, get this, was found at the top of the trail at Josephine, but his last ping on his cell phone was at the bottom. So why would an experienced hiker leave all of his valuables at the beginning of a trail and walk an unknown distance? It was roughly about 1.88 miles to where the last ping was, and his remains were eventually found. suspicious? Or did he just get, or did an old man just get dementia, lose everything, and then wander off and die? Now, the newest case, Jacob Wing, he went missing July of 2020. His body and remains have not been found. Where else? Josephine Saddle Trail here at Madera Canyon, Arizona. 5 missing persons, all under unknown circumstances, all very suspicious. Let's break it down. So a little bit about Jacob. He was 45 years old. Now he was hiking, but he was an experienced hunter and hiker. He went into the canyon and he got separated with his hiking companion, and he vanished. Now, I called the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office, who were in charge of the investigation. After 3 days of searching, the search was called off. The case number is 2007-10010. That in itself was hard to find. Now, when I actually called the sheriff's office, I got this response. It's an unknown death, but there's no remains that have been found. On January 29th, it was sent to a prosecutor, this case. This case, even though there's no body, there's no evidence of foul play, this case went to a prosecutor for further evaluation on January 29th of 2021. If that isn't a smoking gun, so to say, I don't know what is. But it's not up to me, it's up to you guys. What do you guys think? Am I just crazy out here? So I would ask you, is this just a coincidence over 63 years? Are these 5 people unfortunate accidents? Or is there something a little more sinister going on that we don't realize yet? And the Park Service, Fish and Game, is refusing to tell us something. You guys be the judge. See you guys in the next video.